I want to talk now with Jonathan Turley, who's kind enough to join us, who certainly has his perspective as a law professor and dealing with a lot of these issues, to say the least. So thank you, Congressman Comer. Now, per usual, the FBI, Jonathan, he says the FBI has to be dismantled, et cetera. The FBI's admitted no wrongdoing. Let me start with this. They've admitted no wrongdoing. Why would they? Writing in a statement here, sir, quote, the Bureau regularly engages with private sector entities that make decisions about what, if any, action they take on their platforms and for their customers after the FBI has notified them. Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley, what is your reaction to that kind of a statement with what we know now from this recent drop of the Twitter files?
Well, Tammy, what's disturbing about the statement is it shows absolutely no self-awareness of what has already been disclosed. I mean, it's showing utter contempt for the American people. The FBI could have said, look, we find these allegations disturbing. We're going to conduct our own immediate investigation to see if these types of contacts went too far. And instead, they're just saying, well, we did nothing but correspond with companies. That is not what these new files are suggesting. They're suggesting censorship by surrogate, by proxy. You have dozens of FBI agents who supposedly were tasked to go through social media. You have 150 contacts with just one Twitter executive giving lists of users that should be banned, including satirical sites. There's very little runway left for the FBI to continue to deny that there isn't a serious problem here. People, I think, largely agree, I hope, that while the First Amendment applies to the government, it also applies to agents of the government. So if the FBI uses a proxy, uses an agent like Twitter, it's still censorship. It's still a violation of the First Amendment.
What's interesting here, too, and I think that Americans are frustrated because with the FBI, they seem, whether it was, the Russia dossier hoax, their interference, some argue in the 2016 and 20 elections, is that nothing ever seems to happen. Are we missing something that Congress can do other than have reality television, committees, every day? Is there something that can be done immediately, especially with your remarks about their statement, which effectively confirms that they seem to be fine, they knew about it, they weren't outraged or shocked? What are the options here?
Well, obviously, it's going to take some time to build the type of case for substantive change. I don't think most people are talking about dismantling the FBI. I think what the representative is probably talking about was dismantling these troublesome components of the FBI, if there is a censorship program going on. And we do need to look at that, but a case has to be made. These files are not just an indictment of the FBI, they're an indictment of Congress. Congress has shown a steadfast refusal to dig into the censorship allegations. Many of us have been writing about this for years. The Democratic members have refused to pursue this. And in fact, Democratic members have pushed social media companies to expand censorship. In the very hearing where Jack Dorsey apologized for the Hunter Biden laptop debacle, the immediate reaction of Democratic senators were to tell him, don't backslide on us. We want more censorship. Well, now we have not just censorship, we have blacklisting, we have these shadow bans. All of that is now open to the public. And so in some ways, Musk has forced people to choose sides. And I think that some of the anger that you see in the media borders on self-loathing. I mean, they're having now to embrace not just being censorship apologists, but blacklisting and shadow banning and also lying, because that's what we've seen for the last 3 years. That's a lot to take on yourself and still claim that you're a journalist or you believe in free speech. So it's going to take a while, but I cannot tell you how long overdue this is. We need to see it all, and hopefully the House is going to pursue that.
Well, great stuff, and you have been, of course, one of them. This has been on your plate for years, and an excellent point about Congress and their abdicated responsibility or their complicitness with, like, the Democrats. I mean, for those of us who are classical liberals, we used to be, thank you, against the government spying on us. It's like we're in some kind of netherworld. Jonathan Turley, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I appreciate.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.